Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
Jody, how do you come for John Fugelsang on the Bible?
You don't.
Okay. Chris,
I'm
did
happy,
you take
bro.
your organ out?
Right away.
You tweeted, Jesus supports paying taxes for government to redistribute in Mark 12:17. He commands individuals and nations to care for the poor and the sick in Matthew 25. He also commands individuals and nations to welcome the stranger. You all follow a profoundly different Messiah. Thank you, John Fugelsang. Thank you, my personal comedy Jesus, once again.
You know what Jesus doesn't say? Put a sex predator blackout drunk who's easily blackmailed in charge of the U.S. military. Jesus never says that once.
Let me ask you something. Did Jesus ever ask a leper for a copay? It's like, I'm just doing
Never
his
asked a leper
material.
for a copay.
I'm just doing
Never
his
asked a
material
leper.
at him to see if he... Yeah, that's right.
Should have done a guess the quote with him on
There
that.
you go.
He knows. He said it.
Yeah, I would have said Jimmy Carter.
You know, one of the ways I think resisting this time, we were just talking, John, about Dana Goldberg told a great story yesterday about everybody on the plane singing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" because there was kids with ear pain that were crying, and you know, and I was saying how I gave out the Starbucks cards, every time I flew after COVID, and just apologized to them and thanked them. I said, I'm sorry people were jerks to you during COVID, and thanks for what you do. And I was saying that the most striking thing to me was their reaction. How many of them looked shocked, looked like they were going to cry? I just heard a story yesterday about somebody, was at I can't remember which restaurant, but was, nice to the waitress, just said something nice, and she literally started crying. And the person's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And she said, I'm sorry, my shift, I've been here for several hours. You're the first person that's been nice to me. And I thought, like, that's the other way, just like it's random act of kindness at a time. We can try to take this country back and what we believe in. I mean, I was reading this meme. When did simple kindness and empathy to people who are not like you become woke nonsense? Be proudly woke. That's one way to fight back,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Stuff Jesus said. I mean, just, stuff from whatever.
Well, as social justice warriors go, the Nazarene was totally like the wokiest. So, absolutely. But this is what they do, right? We talked about this. Every generation of crappy people seems to find a new term to smear basic kindness.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, they would say, "You bleeding heart
PC,
liberals."
right? Yes,
Bleeding heart liberals, and I'm like Jesus, and then it became politically correct, which was just, hey, be less of a jerk with the language you use. And then it became social justice warriors, snowflake, woke. I mean, every decade finds a new way to smear basic kindness and basic empathy. I mean, all woke is an awareness of an injustice and a belief that we have a responsibility to do something about it. That's what woke means.
Yeah.
And racists have to weaponize this stuff.
Right. And I think
anti-racists have these terms, and racists turn them into slurs.
And I think this is why in this current information/disinformation ecosphere that we live in, Kamala Harris didn't have enough time. She was too easily painted as, she's the scary black lady communist lawyer from San Francisco. I don't know enough about her. Because I was just saying,
there's a flip side to that.
I don't mean to talk down to people. I really don't. But I'm like, how could you be stupid enough to think Donald Trump just said, I can't bring prices down? Like, why would you think that he could? The farmer that we just talked about that was interviewed yesterday, that's like, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to produce my whatever on my workforce? I mean, he told you all these things he was going to do, right?
Yeah, but again, people enjoy being lied to. Conservative people really enjoy being lied to. That's Donald Trump's appeal. These MAGA guys, they're like the tragic girl at the frat party. And Donald Trump is the big, strong lacrosse-playing douchebag who's going to tell them all the lies they want to hear. And they're going to wake up the next morning and wonder what they agreed to last night.
Yeah.
Look, folks, Donald Trump's never going to deport 11 million undocumented people. He's not going to deport 1 million people. He's not going to end birthright citizenship. Tariffs are not going to bring down prices. Elon Musk is not going to cut $2 trillion out of the damn federal budget. There is no plan to replace Obamacare, and there never was. He still doesn't have a health care plan. The rich are going to get richer. Y'all got conned again.
Yeah.
It's like George Bush and Dick Cheney all over, and you got a red hat out of it. Look at the numbers Joe Biden's leaving behind for this guy. 4.2% unemployment. Inflation is dropping. 227,000 jobs added. Double-digit growth. Record stock markets. Gross domestic product up nearly 5%. Lowest unemployment since the moonshot.
Yeah.
Write these numbers down.
Yeah.
and see where they are in 2 years.
Yeah, and write prices down now, today.
Write the prices down now and see where it's at in 2 years,
John,
guys.
absolutely, to your point, I mentioned this earlier because he's a conservative writer. David French in the New York Times basically said, noting the president-elect will inherit a strong and growing economy as he did in 2016 due to the success of President Obama. This is the conservative pointing this out. He pointed out Trump will be coming into power at a time when Russia's enemies are in disarray, with Putin still mired in war in Ukraine. It's going nowhere. Terrorist organization Hamas back on its heels. Thank you, President Biden, for all of this. The president-elect has the opportunity to benefit from both if he doesn't let his worst instincts come into play. Well, I'm going to guess, John, he always lets his worst instincts come into play.
Yeah, listen, I mean,
let me finish. Quickly, yeah, he just says throwing Putin a lifeline in Ukraine now would undermine American strategic interests across the world. He said after talking about decimation of Hezbollah, the collapse of the Syrian dictatorship, he suggested Trump is a very fortunate man to enter the White House with weakened foes, but there's a risk he could blow it up by going forward with his proposed national security team. Thank you. He said he's inheriting the conditions for profound foreign policy success, but he's also inheriting the possibility of failure, and the troubling reality is that his instincts are wrong. His national security picks are flawed, and he may well snatch a series of terrible defeats from the jaws of extraordinary military and diplomatic success. John, how do we message this? Because we've been saying this for how many years? What did Bill Clinton say? Just simple facts that you get out there. 52 million jobs have been created. 50 million by Democrats. Like, this happens every time, right? The Democrats build something, and then the Republican comes in and wrecks it, and then the Democrat has to come back in and fix it. How do we break this cycle?
The arsonists always have to heckle the fire department. Like, this is the only story I've seen in my life. And friends, remember this, okay? You know, Jimmy Carter got in there because of Watergate. And they bring in a Democrat to clean it up. 12 years of trickle-down implode on America, and they bring in Bill Clinton, and he balances the budget and leaves a surplus. Then 8 years of Bush, who still might be the worst president we've ever had, and there's a global recession, housing market, wars we shouldn't be in, and Barack Obama comes in, cleans it up, reduces the deficit, and gives us the lowest rate of uninsured in history. So then you get man-baby in there. Donald Trump makes us the mockery of the world. We bring in this old man. This old man has been the most legislatively successful president of my lifetime, what Biden's done. This is the cycle. So we already know what's going to happen. My old friend Mike used to have this thing called the two mailman theory. You got one mailman comes and he brings you an envelope with a credit card in it and no spending limit. And you go crazy and have a party and buy everything. Then the next mailman comes and he brings the bill. And Americans are like, what is this bill? I want my old mailman back. Donald Trump squandered everything he inherited from his father and from Barack Obama, and he's about to squander his third inheritance.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it is. I mean, and here we are. It's the cover of Time magazine, Man of the Year, someone that half of America and most of the rest of the world hates, despises.
Yeah, but that's how Time does it. That's how Time Hitler, Ayatollah Khomeini, you know, Time magazine does it. A lot of people think Elon should have been the man.
I was going to say the choices apparently were Netanyahu, Elon Musk, and Trump, so that shows you what kind of year this was. Yikes.
My man of the year is Pope Francis. At the end of the year, he's making this appeal to commute the sentences of all American death row inmates. He's got a nativity scene at the Vatican with baby Jesus in a keffiyeh to show solidarity with Palestine. And the Pope just came out and said that migrants must be welcome and integrated. My God, heads are exploding because this Pope is actually reflecting the teachings of Jesus.
And you know what else the Pope said? You know what else the Pope said the best gift is this Christmas season is to go to sexyliberal.com and gift the gift of Sexy Liberal DC January 18th to somebody.
Huh? Did he say it in Latin?
Frankie says this.
Yes, he said it in Latin.
Yeah, he loves it. He got the merch. He bought the download. I mean, Francis is a freak on this stuff. It's kind of weird because we talk every night, and he like quotes my own jokes back to me, and I'm like, you're coming off more like a fan than a pope. But he's
yeah. He's like, did you know I'm named after Francis Callier? And I'm like, no, I didn't know that, Popey.
Wow, yeah.
He likes the D jokes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. All right, John. Goodbye. I love you.
Bye, guys. Have a great day. Have a great one, and I'll see you next week.
You
got it.
Oh, hi. I just finished, I'm going to say, an 11 billion mile bike ride, and thank God I happen to have this magic potion with me, ASEA, as seen on the Stephanie Miller Show.
It helps my cells communicate better so that I can heal faster from overdoing because I'm lying about my age. I also use it on my face.